As many of you know, I enjoy painting live action figures more than the animated ones. The main reason is because I find the process to be way more forgiving. I can always add and adjust the colors with more paint and get the result I want. That is why I did Red Hulk first. I wanted to get the challenging stuff out of the way. In this case, it was the non-screen accurate faces, so that by the time I get to Cap, it would be a breeze. And boy oh boy, how wrong was I. If there's a figure I do not ever want to paint again, it is this one. And it's not that this figure was terrible to begin with. There are some things I really enjoy about this figure, but there are things that I just don't understand.
Let's deconstruct this figure.
The thing that I'm the most annoyed with is his right ankle. The one on the left is okay. It can bend both ways even though it's not much. The right foot though, it can point downwards, but stops at 90 degrees. It won't bend upwards at all, which makes balancing this figure quite tedious. I have to strategically place one leg slightly forward and one slightly back to kind of balance out each other. But that aside, the base figure itself is actually pretty decent to a degree. The colors are mostly accurate, and it's great to see that Hasbro seems to have ditched the orange red. There also doesn't seem to be any obvious missing paint details. And those wings. I'm very happy that they updated the wings and added more hinges so that they're more posable. The helmeted look isn't my favorite, and to my surprise, I believe they got all the paint details as well, except the wings on the sides appear to be slightly inaccurate. Speaking of wings, here's Cap from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I still prefer the white suit. It's a very unique and recognizable look. Look at those new wings, they're so much better. That said, I am bummed that they didn't include the stand this time. Not that I'll use it, but I'm sure others will appreciate it. They did give us another red wing though, but without any support. Weird. Despite being mostly screen accurate, the base figure is quite lackluster. I don't know how to describe it, but this looks like a typical Marvel Legends template mold, even though it's pretty much an all-new mold. I think it's just how round the body parts look. It feels very toyish. The wings on the other hand are fantastic. Those extra hinges make balancing Sam quite easy. All I have to do is bend the wings slightly forward and Sam has no problem staying upright. Which is funny because I have a harder time balancing him without the wings. And that shield, while it still has that frisbee look, it finally doesn't have that X thing that was showing through from the back. And I also like the satin finish. Overall, this figure is an improvement. The heads look great, Cap is easy to pose, and appears to be fairly screen accurate. The only thing that's off are his backpacks. So this should be quite easy to fix. Right? Right?
No!
So, hello, this is Ken. I like making things. Whether it's repainting my figures or making diorama displays, I love making things look awesome. My goal is to elevate my figures so they can shine on my display. Join my DIY venture as I ask myself the same question every week. Can I make it? Let's start with the suit. I like the blue they used. It's a nice deep blue, but it does have that plastic sheen, so I'm gonna mix myself the same blue. I don't have the exact shade out of the bottle. The blues I have are too light or too purple leaning. The blue I'm going for is more neutral. When looking at images of Cap, I actually really like the photos where his suit appears to be darker. But in other scenes, his suit is bluer, so I'll stick with the blue that's already on the suit. I just wanted to have more of a fabric texture. I'm also going to paint over the helmet too, so that the colors are consistent. Alright, onto the silver details. Most of these are painted nicely. The fine lines on the belt on mine are a little off, but that's to be expected. What's missing though are the silver trims at the end of his sleeves. There aren't that many great reference images of Sam's helmet, but I believe the wings are actually half circles. Not my favorite design choice, but I'm going for screen accuracy. The gauntlets need a bit of paint. They have the silver plastic look to them. I'm also going to paint over the red details because I want to redo them later. On to the red. Let me quickly go over all the existing red areas. I also need to add those red details on his gloves. Thankfully, they're already molded in, so just filling in those rectangles. As for the boots, I want them to appear more metallic. I don't have a metallic red paint that I like. The ones I have always turn out a touch too pink. So I'm going to add a red base first, so that when I add the metallic red over it, it'll appear less pink. Hopefully. I'm going to do the same to the red details on his gauntlets, using the normal red to add them first, and then going over them later with the metallic red. And now that that's done, let's add those silver trims on his boots, including those straps on his feet. Almost there. Let me do a quick black wash over the suit to bring out the details. And finish it off with a bit of matte varnish over the helmet, shoulder pads, and his pants to add more texture. In the movie, the helmet is very reflective, to the point where it looks CGI, even though it wasn't. Onto the wings. What's funny is that at this point, I was still under the impression that this was going to be a quick fix. I just need to bring out the details and make the wings pop more. And gotta fix that backpack. The backpack should be silver. And there's just a couple more missing red panels on the wings. I have painted on these slippery surfaces before. Yes, they are a pain to do, and yes, I should have sanded first. But I've always managed to get it to work by adding a thin layer of paint first, letting it fully dry, and then slowly building it up with more layers. But not today. The paint just isn't gripping onto the surface at all. So I'm going to remove the red and try a different method. I got these acrylic markers recently. I haven't tried them yet, so this is the perfect place to see how they perform. The red I have here isn't the right shade, but it is going onto the plastic nicely. So this is my plan B. I'm going to use the marker as my base layer, and then fix the shade with the paint after. And a couple of layers later, the red is now nice and opaque. Except the edges are all fuzzy now because I was more focused on getting an even coat on. I wasn't paying attention to the edges. So now I gotta clean up the edges with a toothpick. There, that's not bad. That's pretty good. looking at reference images, there are these silver trims around these red panels, so let's add those next. Thankfully, the silver paint isn't giving me any issue. It is a bit sheer, but at least I'm not rubbing the paint off. And this is when it dawned on me. The bottom half of the wings are supposed to be silver. On the figure, the wings are mostly blue with a bit of silver near the bottom third. But every image I found shows that the wings are more like 40% blue and 60% silver. This frustrates me quite a bit, because if I'm not mistaken, this pair of wings are the exact same as the ones he had in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And that show came out 5 years ago. Which means, this error shouldn't have happened in the first place. Hasbro can't blame this on concept art this time. Anyway, the reason why I got so frustrated because it was very difficult to paint around the blue feathers. Especially when more than a handful of coats of silver were needed to cover up the blue. But after what felt like an eternity, the silver is done. But some of those blue feathers got silver on them. So that means I have to remix the same blue and clean up the silver. Normally, I would have just used a wet brush to clean up the mess as I go. But I wasn't able to do that with the silver, because the water would just spread the metallic specks all over the plastic. And with the blue out of the way, the red is now beginning to bother me. I wasn't sure if I wanted to give the wings a metallic finish, but I don't love how the red panels look. They're a bit too flat. So, I'm gonna go over all the red bits for the metallic red. I want the wings to look less plasticky and more metallic. Cause right now they still look a bit fragile, but if Sam can stab the Red Hulk with the wings, then they need to look sturdier. And that's when I decided to give the blue the metallic treatment as well. But I'm only gonna paint the main blue panels. I'm not gonna touch the feathers. I have no more patience left to try and do crisp, sharp lines. And I'm also in no mood to do any more cleanups. And bam! I think I made the right decision. I love how shiny the wings are now. And the difference in texture actually works too. Nice. I want to be done with these wings so badly, but there are still a couple of things I need to add, such as the blue metallic lines on the backpack, and a quick black wash over the silver to bring out those machinery details. I added a gunmetal silver onto the midsection of the backpack to darken it even more, and then added the 2 red lines near the top. Okay, I am done with the wings, finally. Let me work on red wing next. I just want to go over the panels with the metallic paint. Add the missing blue panel near the front, and add some black outlines. And here it is. Red wing looks pretty good. Oh, right. It came with 2 backpacks. Great. Let me do the same to this one too. Going over the entire backpack with the silver. Redoing the blue lines with the metallic blue. Then the gunmetal color in the midsection. And the 2 red lines near the top. Wait, the shield. Okay, to be fair, this shield is one of the better ones in recent memory. It is perfectly fine the way it is. But I'm still going to experiment a bit here, so bear with me. Let me do the panel lines with the black first. And then, I'm gonna sand the surface in circular motion. I did that with the self-suit shield last time and I really liked how that looked. It gave the shield this brushed metal texture. But Sam's shield is a bit more reflective. So let me add a thin coat of metallic red over it to see how that looks. I'm not sure. It added this sparkly texture. Let me try sanding it again. I'm still not a fan of this frosted look. Let me try adding some gloss varnish. Maybe? I can't really tell at this point. What if I add more coats of glossy varnish? Okay, I can't tell if it looks better or worse anymore. I have to move on. I saved the easiest for last. The Sam Wilson head is pretty much perfect. It just feels weird if this is the only thing that's unpainted. So I'm gonna dust a thin coat of light brown over his face. Anthony Mackie's isn't that dark. And I'm also gonna paint over his hair with the black, to get rid of the plastic shine. And lastly, a bit of silver on his goggles so that they pop more. Done. Very minor changes, but that's because Hasbro did a fantastic job to begin with. Alright, here's Captain America all finished. The suit looks much better matte. It makes his goggles, gauntlets, and boots stand out more. The overall figure also has less of a toy feel. But this base figure is just not it in my opinion. He needs his wings, and this is when he truly shines. Look how much better the wings look with the metallic finish. They no longer blend into the suit, and actually looks like a pair of indestructible wings. I am still unsure about the shield. On one hand, I think the shield looks better with the reflective finish against the suit, but I can't deny that the original shield was pretty good too. What do you think? Do you like what I've done? Are you also annoyed that the wings are not screen accurate? Let me know down below. Surprisingly, the helmet grew on me quite a bit. Even though I won't be displaying mine with the helmet on, I have to say, this look of his actually looks pretty badass. Do you have this figure? If so, what's your opinion on Cap? As a customizer, this was not fun at all. While the final result doesn't look that bad, the process was just so tedious. I spent the majority of the week working on those wings, but it was worth it. Sam's wings should be the main attraction, and I feel like I accomplished that. And while I still prefer the white suit, I can't deny that this new figure is the superior of the two. Oh, you know what? The silver to blue ratio on the old wings were actually correct, so Hasbro decided to change that for no reason. Why? Here's white suit Cap with the new wings. This looks awesome. If he ever goes back to this suit, I'll put these wings on him. As frustrating as this painting process was, the posability of this figure does redeem itself. Okay, the wings are doing most of the work, but I do really enjoy how effortless some of these poses look. That said, I still don't understand why Hasbro provided Red Wing without any support. While the mold itself is the same as last time, the peg hole on the bottom is actually different. The old one has a ball joint hole, but the new one has a hexagonal one. The little support stand from the previous figure won't fit. Even so, that won't matter, because for some reason, they removed the hole in the backpack that connects the two. Of all the things that they could have reused, it should have been the backpack. Now Sam gotta throw Red Wing like a paper airplane. What? Okay, ending this with a photo shoot. The base figure, I give it a 4 out of 10. It only looks good in very specific angles, and there's not much you can do with him pose-wise. The winged look on the other hand, 9.5 out of 10. I'm only taking half a point off because of the base figure. These wings are so photogenic. I'm not someone who can pull off dynamic poses all the time, but I didn't really have that much trouble finding new poses to do here. All these flying poses look so epic. I couldn't pick a favorite. And I have to give props to the engineering for the wings. Despite having one bad foot, I was still able to balance Sam pretty easily with the wings. I hope I earned your likes with my Brave New World videos. Not my favorite movie, nor my favorite figures, but the final results were pretty good. Subscribe to see more content like this. And as always, stay inspired and I'll see you soon. I can make it, so can you.